Chapter 1: The Origins of Written Material in Religion. Introduction. Religion, in its various forms, has been an integral part of human civilization since ancient times. As societies developed and cultures flourished, the need to preserve and transmit religious teachings became evident. This chapter explores the origins of written material in religion, tracing its early forms and examining how the development of writing systems revolutionized the conveyance of religious philosophy. 1.1 The birth of writing. Humanity's journey towards developing writing systems was a transformative leap in the communication of ideas and beliefs. Early civilizations, such as the Sumerians in Mesopotamia, the Egyptians along the Nile, and the Indus Valley Civilization in South Asia, independently developed writing around 3000 BCE. These scripts, initially pictographic or ideographic, evolved into complex systems of symbols that could represent spoken language. 1.2 Religious inscriptions and rituals. As writing systems matured, religious inscriptions began to appear, etched onto stone tablets, walls, and monuments. These inscriptions often conveyed religious beliefs, rituals, and stories, reflecting the close relationship between religion and early writing. Ancient Egyptian hieroglyphics and Mesopotamian cuneiform scripts contain numerous religious texts depicting myths, prayers, and religious laws. 1.3 The emergence of sacred scriptures. In several religious traditions, the concept of sacred scriptures emerged, becoming a cornerstone in the conveyance of religious philosophy. One notable example is the Hebrew Bible, also known as the Old Testament, which contains foundational texts of Judaism, such as the Torah, the prophets, and the writings. These scriptures were revered as the Word of God, providing moral and spiritual guidance to the Jewish community. 1.4 The Vedic and Hindu scriptures. In ancient India, the Vedas, a collection of religious hymns and rituals, were composed in Sanskrit and passed down orally for centuries. Eventually, they were transcribed into writing, leading to the preservation of these sacred texts. The Vedas, along with other Hindu scriptures like the Upanishads and the Bhagavad Gita, became fundamental sources of philosophical and theological teachings within Hinduism. 1.5 Religious texts in East Asia. East Asian religious traditions, such as Buddhism, Taoism, and Confucianism, also adopted written materials to convey their teachings. Buddhist sutras, recorded in languages like Pali and Sanskrit, became revered texts expounding the path to enlightenment. In China, the Dao De Jing and the Analects of Confucius played pivotal roles in shaping Taoist and Confucian philosophy, respectively. 1.6 Preservation and transmission of knowledge. The development of writing systems brought about a significant shift in how religious knowledge was preserved and transmitted. Religious texts could be meticulously copied, creating multiple copies that could be disseminated across regions and generations. This allowed for greater consistency and accuracy in the transmission of religious philosophy, reducing the potential for distortion and misinterpretation. 1.7 Authority and interpretation. With the emergence of written material, questions of authority and interpretation arose within religious communities. Who had the authority to interpret religious texts? How should they be understood and applied? Scholars, priests, and religious leaders assumed roles in interpreting and contextualizing religious writings, guiding communities and ensuring the continuity of religious teachings. Conclusion. The origins of written material in religion marked a significant milestone in the conveyance of religious philosophy. From the birth of writing systems to the emergence of sacred scriptures, the preservation and transmission of religious knowledge were forever transformed. Written texts provided a tangible means to express and preserve religious beliefs, enabling communities to access and study their teachings with greater accuracy and depth. In the subsequent chapters, we will delve further into the transformative power of religious texts and their impact on individuals and societies throughout history. We will explore how religious texts have served as sources of guidance, inspiration, and spiritual awakening, and how they have shaped religious authority and interpretation. As humanity progressed, the role of written material in conveying religious philosophy expanded. Religious texts became treasured repositories of wisdom, moral teachings, and spiritual insights. They transcended the limitations of oral tradition, ensuring the longevity and accuracy of religious doctrines and practices. In the following chapters, we will delve into the transformative power of religious texts, examining their ability to inspire personal growth and provide solace in times of adversity. We will explore the complexities of interpretation and translation, considering the diverse perspectives and nuanced understandings that arise within different religious traditions. Furthermore, we will examine the relationship between written material and religious authority, discussing how religious leaders and scholars have shaped the interpretation of sacred texts and guided religious communities. We will also address the challenges and controversies that have emerged as interpretations diverge and religious authority is questioned. Lastly, we will investigate the relevance of written material in the modern age, where advancements in technology have expanded access to religious texts and fostered interfaith dialogue. We will explore how digital platforms and inclusive practices make religious teachings more accessible to diverse audiences and examine their potential impact on religious communities. In unraveling the role of written material in conveying religious philosophy, we embark on a journey through time, cultures, and beliefs. By studying the origins and evolution of religious texts, we gain insights into the human quest for meaning, spiritual growth, and communal harmony. The subsequent chapters will illuminate the profound impact of written material on individuals, societies, and the rich tapestry of religious traditions that have shaped our world. Chapter 2: The Transformative Power of Religious Texts. Introduction. Religious texts hold a unique position in conveying religious philosophy. They serve as repositories of wisdom, moral teachings, and spiritual insights, capable of transforming individuals and shaping the collective consciousness of societies. In this chapter, we delve into the transformative power of religious texts, exploring how they provide guidance, inspire personal growth, and act as catalysts for spiritual awakening. 2.1 Religious texts as sources of guidance. Religious texts offer a moral compass, providing believers with ethical principles, commandments, and guidelines for righteous living. They offer a framework for navigating life's challenges and making decisions aligned with religious values. Whether it is the 10 Commandments in the Bible, the 5 Pillars of Islam, or the Noble Eightfold Path in Buddhism, religious texts serve as guiding lights, offering clarity and direction in the complex journey of human existence. 2.2 Inspiring personal transformation. Embedded within religious texts are narratives of individuals who have undergone personal transformation. These stories, whether they depict prophets, saints, or ordinary believers, serve as sources of inspiration and encouragement. The accounts of redemption, forgiveness, and spiritual growth inspire believers to embark on their own transformative journeys. Examples include the story of Gautama Buddha's path to enlightenment, the conversion of St. Paul in Christian literature, and the spiritual awakening of the Sufi mystics in Islamic texts. 2.3 Texts as vehicles for spiritual awakening. Religious texts have the capacity to awaken individuals to deeper spiritual realities and experiences. Through their teachings and metaphysical insights, these texts provide avenues for connecting with the divine and experiencing transcendence. Practices such as meditation, prayer, and contemplation, often prescribed within religious texts, facilitate the direct experience of spiritual truths. The Upanishads in Hinduism, the mystical writings of the Kabbalah in Judaism, and the poetry of Rumi in Sufism are all examples of texts that invite readers into mystical dimensions of spirituality. 2.4 The power of sacred language. The language employed in religious texts possesses a transformative quality of its own. Sacred languages, such as Hebrew, Sanskrit, Arabic, and Pali, carry a resonance and vibrancy that transcends mere words. The recitation of verses or prayers in their original language is believed to connect the individual to the sacred heritage of the tradition, enabling a profound spiritual encounter. Chanting mantras in Hinduism, reciting the Quran in Islam, or intoning sutras in Buddhism are practices that harness the power of sacred language for transformative purposes. 2.5 Texts as sources of community identity. Religious texts play a vital role in shaping the collective identity of religious communities. They provide a shared narrative, values, and rituals that bind believers together. Through the study and contemplation of these texts, individuals find a sense of belonging, unity, and purpose within their religious community. Religious texts often form the basis for religious education, communal worship, and the transmission of cultural and religious heritage. 2.6 Engaging with sacred texts. The transformative power of religious texts is not confined to passive reading or memorization. Engaging with sacred texts through study circles, religious study groups, or academic institutions enables individuals to explore their teachings in depth, fostering personal growth and intellectual engagement. Such interactions encourage critical thinking, interpretation, and application of religious teachings to contemporary life, stimulating a deeper understanding of one's faith. Conclusion. Religious texts possess a transformative power that transcends the written word. They provide guidance, inspire personal transformation, and act as conduits for spiritual awakening. Through their teachings, narratives, and language, they guide individuals in ethical decision-making, offer inspiration for personal growth, and facilitate connection with the divine. These texts not only shape the beliefs and practices of individuals but also contribute to the formation of collective identities within religious communities. The transformative power of religious texts lies not only in their content but also in the engagement and active participation of readers and believers. Through study, reflection, and contemplation, individuals can delve deeper into the layers of meaning within these texts, unlocking profound insights and experiencing personal growth. By integrating the teachings of religious texts into their lives, believers find guidance, solace, and a sense of purpose in their spiritual journeys. Moreover, the transformative influence of religious texts extends beyond the individual level. They have the capacity to shape the collective consciousness of societies, influencing ethical standards, social values, and cultural norms. The teachings found within religious texts can inspire acts of compassion, justice, and social reform, leading to positive transformations in communities and broader societal contexts. However, it is important to acknowledge that the transformative power of religious texts can also be subject to diverse interpretations and potential misuse. Different individuals and communities may interpret and apply these texts in varying ways, leading to conflicts, divisions, and even extremism. Therefore, it becomes crucial to foster an open and inclusive dialogue around religious texts, respecting diverse perspectives while emphasizing the values of compassion, tolerance, and understanding. In conclusion, religious texts hold an undeniable transformative power. They provide guidance, inspire personal growth, and act as catalysts for spiritual awakening. Whether through their teachings, narratives, language, or engagement, these texts shape the beliefs, practices, and identities of individuals and communities. The transformative journey through religious texts is an ongoing exploration that invites individuals to deepen their understanding, challenge their assumptions, and cultivate a profound connection with the divine and their fellow human beings. Chapter 3: Interpreting and Translating Religious Texts. Introduction. Religious texts, with their rich and complex content, often require interpretation and translation to make their teachings accessible to diverse audiences. The process of interpreting and translating religious texts involves navigating linguistic nuances, cultural contexts, and the evolving needs of religious communities. In this chapter, we explore the complexities of interpretation, the challenges of translation, and the impact of diverse interpretations within religious traditions. 3.1 The challenges of interpretation. Interpreting religious texts poses significant challenges. Due to factors such as linguistic differences, historical contexts, and varying theological perspectives, scholars and religious leaders employ different methodologies, including historical critical analysis, hermeneutics, and comparative studies, to understand the intended meaning and relevance of religious texts. Interpretation also takes into account the social, cultural, and political contexts in which these texts were written, recognizing that they often address specific issues and audiences. 3.2 Contextual interpretation. Religious texts are products of their time, influenced by the historical, social, and cultural contexts in which they were composed. Therefore, understanding the context is crucial for accurate interpretation. Scholars study the language, customs, and beliefs of the time to grasp the intended meaning of the texts. This contextual interpretation helps shed light on the relevance of religious teachings in contemporary times while acknowledging the potential need for adaptation and evolution. 3.3 Plurality of interpretation. Religious texts often allow for multiple interpretations, leading to a rich tapestry of theological and philosophical perspectives within religious traditions. Different sects, denominations, or schools of thought may emerge, each emphasizing specific aspects of the text or highlighting unique theological positions. This plurality of interpretation contributes to the diversity of religious beliefs and practices, offering believers the freedom to engage with the texts in a way that resonates with their personal and communal understanding. 3.4 Translation and its challenges. Translating religious texts from their original language to another presents numerous challenges. Languages differ in structure, vocabulary, idiomatic expressions, and cultural connotations. Translators must navigate these linguistic complexities while striving to convey the essence and nuances of the original text accurately. They face decisions regarding word choices, idiomatic expressions, and maintaining the intended tone and style of the original work. Moreover, translating sacred or revered texts requires a delicate balance between faithfulness to the source and making the translation accessible and meaningful to the target audience. 3.5 Cultural adaptation. Religious texts often contain cultural references, metaphors, and symbols that are deeply embedded within a specific cultural framework. Translators and interpreters must navigate these cultural aspects, considering the cultural background and knowledge of the target audience. This process involves adapting the text's cultural references, parables, and symbols to make them relatable and meaningful within different cultural contexts without compromising the essence and integrity of the original teachings. 3.6 Interfaith dialogue and comparative study. Interpreting religious texts becomes even more complex in interfaith dialogue and comparative study. Scholars and individuals engage in comparative analysis, exploring similarities and differences between religious texts and their interpretations across traditions. Such dialogue fosters mutual understanding, encourages dialogue, and promotes respect for diverse religious perspectives. It highlights the shared values, ethical teachings, and universal principles that exist across different religious traditions. 3.7 Responsible interpretation and its implications. The process of interpreting religious texts comes with great responsibility. Interpreters, whether scholars or religious leaders, hold a significant role in shaping the understanding, beliefs, and practices of their respective communities. It is essential to approach interpretation with integrity, humility, and a commitment to promoting peace, justice, and compassion. Responsible interpretation fosters inclusivity, respects diverse perspectives, and emphasizes the ethical teachings that underpin religious texts. Conclusion. Interpreting and translating religious texts is a complex and nuanced endeavor. It involves navigating linguistic, cultural, and historical factors while considering the diverse perspectives and evolving needs of religious communities. The challenges of interpretation are met with scholarly methodologies, contextual understanding, and the recognition of multiple valid interpretations within religious traditions. Translation, on the other hand, requires striking a delicate balance between fidelity to the original text and making the translation accessible and meaningful to the target audience. Translators face the task of capturing the essence, nuances, and cultural references of the source text while adapting them to resonate within different cultural contexts. Interfaith dialogue and comparative study further enrich the interpretive landscape, fostering mutual understanding and promoting respect for diverse religious perspectives. Such dialogues encourage individuals to explore commonalities, shared values, and universal principles across religious traditions, contributing to a broader understanding of the human spiritual quest. Responsible interpretation of religious texts entails a deep sense of ethical responsibility. Interpreters must approach their task with humility, integrity, and a commitment to promoting peace, justice, and compassion. They have the power to shape the understanding, beliefs, and practices of religious communities, and thus, must navigate interpretation with sensitivity and openness to diverse viewpoints. In the ongoing quest to interpret and translate religious texts, scholars, religious leaders, and individuals are called to engage in a continuous dialogue that encompasses historical research, linguistic analysis, cultural sensitivity, and interfaith exchange. Through responsible interpretation, religious texts can serve as bridges of understanding, fostering unity, and enriching the spiritual lives of believers across diverse traditions. By acknowledging the complexities and challenges inherent in interpreting and translating religious texts, we embrace the diverse interpretations and evolving nature of religious thought. Through dialogue, humility, and a commitment to deep understanding, we can harness the transformative power of these texts, fostering harmony, compassion, and the pursuit of truth in our diverse and interconnected world. Chapter 4. The role of written material in shaping religious authority. Introduction. Religious authority plays a pivotal role in guiding the beliefs, practices, and governance of religious communities. Written material, such as religious texts, theological treatises, and commentaries, significantly contribute to the establishment and dissemination of religious authority. In this chapter, we explore the dynamic relationship between written material and religious authority, examining how texts shape the understanding of doctrine, the role of religious leaders, and the interpretation of sacred teachings. 4.1 Establishing doctrinal authority. Written material serves as a foundation for establishing and defining doctrinal authority within religious traditions. Religious texts often contain core beliefs, principles, and rituals that form the basis of religious doctrine. Through careful study and interpretation of these texts, religious authorities establish and articulate the foundational teachings that guide the faith community. The authoritative nature of these texts is recognized and upheld as a source of religious truth and guidance. 4.2 Interplay between written material and religious leadership. Religious texts not only provide content for religious authority but also shape the roles and responsibilities of religious leaders. These texts often outline the qualities, qualifications, and duties of religious leaders, be they clergy, scholars, or spiritual guides. They offer guidance on matters of governance, ethical conduct, and the interpretation of religious teachings. Religious leaders, in turn, derive their authority and legitimacy from their knowledge and adherence to the written material, thus playing a vital role in interpreting and applying its teachings to the community. 4.3 Interpretative authority and religious scholars. Religious texts can empower religious scholars with interpretative authority, allowing them to delve into the depths of the written material and derive new insights. Scholars study the language, historical context, and theological nuances of the texts, engaging in rigorous analysis and debate to uncover layers of meaning and develop theological frameworks. Their expertise and scholarly contributions influence the interpretation and understanding of religious texts, shaping the broader discourse within religious communities. 4.4 Challenges to religious authority. The relationship between written material and religious authority is not without its challenges. As interpretations vary and evolve over time, conflicts may arise, questioning the legitimacy of religious authorities and challenging established doctrines. Dissenting interpretations, new scriptural analyses, and the influence of cultural, social, and political factors can disrupt traditional power structures and contribute to the emergence of alternative religious movements or denominations. Additionally, advancements in technology and access to information have given rise to a more independent and critical readership, demanding transparency and accountability from religious authorities. 4.5 Evolving authority in the modern era. The role of written material in shaping religious authority continues to evolve in the modern era. Technological advancements, such as digital platforms and social media, have expanded access to religious texts and diversified the voices participating in religious discourse. These platforms provide opportunities for grassroots interpretations, interfaith dialogue, and global conversations on religious matters. The democratization of information challenges traditional hierarchies of authority, necessitating a dynamic and inclusive approach to religious leadership and interpretation. 4.6 Nurturing a balanced approach. The relationship between written material and religious authority requires a balanced approach that acknowledges the importance of both continuity and adaptation. While honoring the authoritative nature of religious texts, religious leaders and communities must also recognize the need for contextual interpretation, ethical reflection, and responsiveness to the changing needs of society. The engagement with written material should be complemented by a deep sense of spiritual discernment, compassion, and a commitment to justice, fostering a holistic understanding of religious teachings. Conclusion. Written material plays a significant role in shaping religious authority by establishing doctrinal foundations, guiding the roles of religious leaders, and providing a framework for interpretation and scholarship. It influences the understanding, practices, and governance of religious communities. However, the relationship between written material and religious authority is not static. It continues to evolve and face challenges in the modern era. The interplay between written material and religious authority requires a balanced approach that recognizes the need for continuity, adaptation, and inclusivity. The dynamic relationship between written material and religious authority necessitates ongoing dialogue, engagement, and critical reflection. Religious leaders, scholars, and communities must navigate the complexities of interpretation, acknowledging diverse perspectives and fostering open and respectful discussions. The evolving authority in the modern era calls for a willingness to listen, learn, and adapt, while remaining rooted in the core teachings and values of the tradition. Moreover, nurturing a balanced approach to religious authority involves a commitment to ethical leadership, transparency, and accountability. Religious leaders and communities must uphold the ethical principles embedded within their written material, fostering integrity, compassion, and justice in their teachings and actions. This ethical dimension helps maintain the trust and credibility necessary for effective religious leadership and guidance. In the ever-changing landscape of religious authority, written material continues to shape and be shaped by the beliefs, practices, and aspirations of religious communities. By recognizing the transformative power of written texts, engaging in responsible interpretation, and embracing the dynamic nature of religious authority, believers can navigate the complexities of faith, foster unity amidst diversity, and seek spiritual enlightenment in their religious journeys. Chapter 5: The Impact of Written Material on Religious Practices and Rituals. Introduction. Written material holds a profound influence on the religious practices and rituals of believers. Sacred texts, liturgical texts, prayer books, and other written resources provide guidance, structure, and inspiration for the expression of religious devotion. In this chapter, we explore the role of written material in shaping religious practices and rituals, examining how texts provide a framework for worship, foster spiritual discipline, and connect individuals to their religious traditions. 5.1 Preserving and transmitting ritual knowledge. Written material serves as a means of preserving and transmitting ritual knowledge from one generation to another. Religious texts often contain detailed instructions, liturgical formulas, and prescribed sequences of actions for religious ceremonies, rites, and worship services. Through the written word, religious communities can safeguard the integrity and continuity of their rituals, ensuring that essential elements and symbolic practices are faithfully passed down through time. 5.2 Providing structure and order. Religious texts offer a sense of structure and order to religious practices and rituals. They provide guidelines for the organization of worship services, the recitation of prayers, the observance of holy days and festivals, and the performance of sacraments or rites of passage. Written material sets forth the ritual sequence, timing, and specific actions, fostering a collective experience and a shared sense of identity within religious communities. 5.3 Inspiring devotion and spiritual discipline. The words contained within religious texts serve as a source of inspiration, guiding believers in their quest for spiritual growth and deepening their devotion. Prayers, hymns, and sacred verses found in written material evoke reverence, awe, and a sense of connection to the divine. They serve as vehicles for expressing gratitude, seeking guidance, and cultivating a personal relationship with the transcendent. Written material provides a framework for spiritual discipline, encouraging regular prayer, meditation, and contemplation. 5.4 Encouraging active participation. Written material invites active participation in religious practices and rituals. Through texts, individuals are encouraged to engage in recitation, chanting, singing, and the internalization of sacred teachings. Prayer books, hymnals, and liturgical texts serve as aids for active involvement, enabling believers to follow along, respond, and actively contribute to the communal worship experience. The accessibility and familiarity of written material empower individuals to engage in meaningful participation, fostering a sense of belonging and communal unity. 5.5 Fostering cultural identity. Written material plays a vital role in fostering and preserving cultural identity within religious communities. Religious texts often reflect the language, cultural expressions, and historical narratives of a particular community or tradition. Through the use of vernacular languages or sacred languages, these texts maintain a connection to cultural heritage and identity. By engaging with written material in their native language or through translations, individuals reaffirm their cultural roots, strengthening their bond with their religious community and its traditions. 5.6 Adapting to changing contexts. While written material provides a framework for religious practices and rituals, it also allows for adaptability and contextual relevance. Religious communities continuously reinterpret and adapt their practices based on changing social, cultural, and historical contexts. Written material provides a foundation from which creativity and innovation can emerge, allowing rituals to evolve while maintaining the essence of the tradition. This flexibility ensures that religious practices remain meaningful and relatable to the current generation of believers. Conclusion: written material has a profound impact on religious practices and rituals, providing guidance, structure, and inspiration. From preserving and transmitting ritual knowledge to fostering cultural identity and enabling active participation, religious texts serve as a foundational resource for believers. They inspire devotion, nurture spiritual discipline, and create a sense of unity within religious communities. While maintaining continuity with tradition, written material also allows for adaptation to changing contexts, ensuring the ongoing relevance and vitality of religious practices and rituals. The impact of written material on religious practices and rituals is a testament to the power of language and the written word in shaping the spiritual lives of believers. Through texts, individuals find solace, guidance, and a deeper connection to their religious traditions. The rituals and practices informed by written material provide a framework for communal worship, spiritual growth, and the expression of devotion. However, it is important to recognize that written material is not an end in itself but a means to an end, the cultivation of a meaningful and transformative spiritual experience. While the guidance provided by written texts is invaluable, it is the sincerity, intention, and authenticity of the individuals and communities engaging in the practices that give them true significance. Moreover, as religious communities continue to evolve in response to changing societal dynamics, written material must also adapt to meet the needs and aspirations of believers. This adaptation requires a delicate balance between preserving core traditions and embracing necessary changes. By engaging with written material with an open mind and a willingness to reflect on its teachings, religious communities can navigate the complexities of the modern world while remaining anchored in the wisdom of their traditions. In conclusion, the impact of written material on religious practices and rituals is profound. It provides structure, guidance, and inspiration, fostering a sense of unity, devotion, and cultural identity within religious communities. As believers engage with written texts, they are invited to actively participate, seek spiritual growth, and find meaning in their religious traditions. The adaptability and relevance of written material ensure that religious practices and rituals continue to resonate with believers in an ever-changing world, enriching their spiritual journeys and deepening their connection